Tensions explode as Russian troops stand ready to intervene in the Israel-Palestine conflict. President Putin takes aim at the United States, accusing Washington of igniting the current escalation through failed policies. With civilians caught in the crossfire, the world watches nervously as Moscow asserts its readiness to send forces into Gaza to stop Israel's military offensive. In a stern warning, Russia has made it clear that any Israeli ground operation in Gaza, with its potential for causing unacceptable civilian losses, is a cause for concern. President Vladimir Putin emphasized that such losses are entirely unacceptable. He made this statement during a meeting of the heads of the Commonwealth of Independent States in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. Putin pointed out the risks associated with using heavy military equipment in residential areas, highlighting that it poses significant dangers to all parties involved. However, he also acknowledged that conducting the operation without such equipment presents its own unique set of challenges. The Russian leader argues that the United States' attempt to address the issue of establishing a Palestinian state through economic means has contributed to the current escalation in the conflict between Palestine and Israel. The situation remains highly complex, and many are closely monitoring Russia's stance and its readiness to send troops to Gaza to prevent Israel from conducting a ground offensive. The world watches as these developments unfold, hoping for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing crisis. In recent times, the leader of Russia attempted to address the political issue of establishing a Palestinian state by using economic measures. However, this approach has played a significant role in the current escalation of the ongoing conflict between Palestine and Israel. Many people believe that the Middle East policy of the United States has also contributed to this escalation. It seemed that the US was more focused on dominating the Middle East peace process than on reaching a fair agreement or considering the rights of the Palestinian people. Russian President Putin pointed out that the Middle East Quartet was formed by the US, Russia, the EU, and the UN to resolve the issues related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He highlighted that Washington's actions were obstructing the Quartet's efforts, causing frustration among those involved. In response to these developments, President Putin expressed Russia's willingness to mediate a peace deal between Israel and Palestine. Tensions escalated when Israeli troops launched a military offensive against the Palestinian organization, Hamas, in retaliation for attacks on Israeli territory. Hamas initiated a multifaceted surprise attack called Operation Al-Aqsa, which included rocket launches and infiltrations into Israel by land, sea, and air. This marked the beginning of the conflict. According to Hamas, this operation was in response to Israeli settlers' action in the takeover of the Al-Aqsa Mosque in East Jerusalem. In turn, the Israeli military launched Operation Swords of Iron against Hamas targets within the Gaza Strip, intensifying hostilities in the Middle East. The situation remains tense, and leaders from various nations are gathering to discuss the crisis. In response to Israel's actions, which include cutting off access to electricity and water in Gaza, living conditions in the region have worsened significantly. Gaza has been enduring a punishing embargo since 2007, making life even more challenging for the people there. Turning our attention to the situation in Karabakh, President Putin expressed his strong determination to put an end to the long-standing conflict. He mentioned that Azerbaijan and Armenia are currently working on drafting a peace agreement. Putin emphasized that, if necessary, Russia is fully prepared to facilitate negotiations in Moscow. The goal is to ensure that a peace deal is reached during these talks and that the leaders of both nations sign it. However, the final decision ultimately rests with the specific nations involved. Putin also mentioned that they're ready to establish the requirements for this process. Acknowledging the ongoing events in Karabakh, President Putin also noted that Armenia might decide not to host the CS Sports tournament, originally planned for its second largest city, Gyumri, in 2024. Despite some CIS member nations like Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine not participating actively, Putin praised the group as a stable, in-demand, and effective model of cooperation. He pointed out that Ukraine, from the outset, has avoided full-scale collaboration by signing but never ratifying the core agreements of the CIS. The leaders of Moldova have also expressed their concerns about their country losing its identity and believe that only the people can prevent this transformation, as Moldova is evolving into a different country. The geopolitical landscape in the region is complex and ever-evolving. and it remains to be seen how these developments will shape the future of the nations involved. In the context of international politics, Hamas is a Palestinian organization that has been the subject of considerable debate and controversy. It's important to note that different countries have varying stances on how they classify Hamas. While some, like Iran and Russia, do not label it as a terrorist organization, several others, including the United States, Israel, and the European Union, designate Hamas as a terrorist group. The classification hinges on the organization's history, which included armed conflict and acts of violence in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The differing views on Hamas highlight the complexity and sensitivity of this long-standing conflict. Keep in mind that the way we classify and understand groups like Hamas can be influenced by political, historical, and regional factors. This topic offers a great opportunity for deeper exploration and discussion in the realm of international relations and Middle East politics. In a recent interview with Russia Today's Arabic channel, senior Hamas official Ali Baraka made some striking claims about Russia's stance on the conflict between Hamas and Israel. According to Baraka, Russia supported Hamas and appeared to be content with the ongoing conflict. He suggested that the conflict diverted American attention from Russia's aggressive war in Ukraine. In the aftermath of a tragic incident, Baraka stated that Russians had sent supportive letters to Hamas. Furthermore, he asserted that Hamas had factories and a license from Russia to produce Kalashnikov rifles and ammunition in Gaza, which he described as a clear victory. He emphasized that Hamas was not alone on the battlefield. A few days later, Hamas acknowledged Putin's support and stance against the continued Israeli military actions against Palestinians. In a statement, the organization expressed gratitude for Putin's rejection of the siege of Gaza, the stoppage of humanitarian supplies, and attacks against civilians. However, what's noteworthy is that they didn't thank Putin for supporting the idea of an independent Palestinian state. This omission can be explained by the fact that Hamas does not actually want an independent Palestinian state coexisting with Israel. Their ultimate goal, often symbolized by the slogan, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," is often seen as an expression of their aspiration to replace Israel and its Jewish population with a Palestinian state. The situation remains complex, and the consequences of a ground invasion in Gaza, as mentioned by Putin, would likely result in severe consequences and unacceptable civilian casualties. If you found this information helpful, please don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.